My name is Kent with the Mopit Company, and today we're reviewing the Factory Cat MicroMini 17D Auto Scrubber. Factory Cat is a brand of the RPS Corporation. I have a lot of respect for the RPS Corporation. They also own the brands Timberline, Kodiak, and Tomcat. One of the great things about RPS is they are built right here in America in Wisconsin. As I've dealt with RPS over the years, I've learned that it seems one of their goals is to build higher quality, heavier duty floor scrubbers than the big names like Tennant and Nilfisk, and do it for about the same cost. We bought this machine brand new, and it cost us $8,069. Let's have a look around it. All right, let's look at the controls of this MicroMini. It's got beautiful controls. They're not as intuitive as others I've seen. I did have to look in the manual to see how they work, but they are extremely high quality. Here you've got your key switch to turn everything on, and then you've got your vacuum switch, your brush switch, and your water switch. The part that was a little confusing to me was the way to make it go forward and in reverse. Right here you've got a toggle switch to make it go backwards, and then you've got these two handle switches that'll make it go forward with the speed control right here. Also on the handlebar, you can adjust the height by pulling this knob, and then it'll shift up, and you've got several different settings where you can have the handlebar. Everything is just premium quality, just beautiful heavy gauge steel everywhere. Over here, actually, help you see it better, right here is your squeegee lift. And then here you've got your water adjustment, so you can control how much is going onto the floor. I did find it's not all your adjustments really in the top half. Once you get down here, it's basically just off. You've got your drain hose to drain the dirty water tank. And then here is your cord for the onboard battery charger. I love to see onboard chargers. And here is also a port where you can fill the fresh water tank. It's got several ways. I'll show you the other ways in just a second to fill it. And then here is your fresh water level gauge. And it also doubles as a drain. So you can pull that out and set it on the floor or in a drain, and it'll drain out all the fresh water in the tank. So beautiful controls. Again, you don't find more premium quality than in Tomcat and other RPS machines. All right, let me show you how to change the squeegee blade. It's not too bad on this machine. You've got these two knobs right here that you just loosen. You pop off your squeegee hose. I'm really happy they use the bigger hoses. 1.5 inch like this are my favorite size hoses. They tend to get clogged the least frequently. Then your whole assembly just pulls off like that. And then you've got these wing nuts that you undo. Wing nuts are reliable and simple, a simple way to change a squeegee bar. Sometimes they do get on there tight and you have to use a pair of pliers to get them off, but it's not too bad. On larger machines like this, they tend to use the thicker rubber, which I really like. This is 1/4 inch Linatex. Linatex is premium rubber. Not much filler in it, and it tends to last longer and wear better. And even when it's worn, it performs better than standard gum rubber. All right, once you get those off, then you just pull off these straps. There we go. There's one. And sometimes they're a little stubborn. There we go. All right. This bar is solid metal, which is another thing I love to see. You got a big suction hole that's not going to get clogged very easily. Very well built squeegee bar. And then we just got to put this back on. And so these are reversible, but they're not, you can use 2 sides of the blade. You can't use 4 sides of it. And so let's get this back in. This is this is our front one. All right, cinch all those down. This is a squeegee bar you'll never have to replace. It's built so heavy. Slide those back on there. Tighten the knobs. And put on your hose. All right, that's how you change your squeegee blade. Changing the brush on the MicroMini is simple. Just loosen these 2 knobs, and the shroud pulls off. Then you've just got this spring that you squeeze. There's your 17-inch brush. Putting it on, just hold it up and squeeze that. Tighten her back up. I do like how it has this splash guard that helps prevent a lot of water from flying out when it's under use. RPS has perfected the ability to create 2 tanks inside of one. You'll notice that there's only 1 tank on this machine, it appears. And yet here's your freshwater tank and here's your recovery tank. The tanks are terrific quality. One of the drawbacks, it seems, with the tank within a tank is there's a whole bunch of screws that are just right into the plastic. They're not in inserts. For example, if we pop these, you'll see it's just right into the plastic. I always prefer to see inserts because they're much longer lasting, more durable. Overall, these tanks are very thick. They're going to last a long, long time, and usually they've used screws directly into the plastic in areas where hopefully it won't affect the longevity of the tank. Still, it would have been a little nicer touch to see inserts there. Factory Cat and RPS uses this same lid style on most of their lines. I think the Timber line is starting to use a different lid, but it's big and it gives you full visibility into the recovery tank, which is really nice. You can see how high your levels are. Inside the tank, they've got a catch basin. So this is coming from your squeegee bar, and all the debris passes through this screen and water. And so if you're picking up coins or other things like that, it's caught in this catch basket, which is nice. And then they've got this whole plate in here. I believe the term for this is a demisting chamber, because the water and air from the squeegee hose is coming straight down into your tank. It creates a lot of turbulence in the water and can create mist. So this plate here separates the rough kind of boiling water on this side of the tank from the front portion of the recovery tank where the actual suction is, where the actual recovery tank is pressurized. Because right here in the front, this hose is coming from your vacuum motor, creating the pressurization of the tank. Here you've got a float shutoff the float will rise with the water and shut off the vacuum motor when it gets here. And here you've got a neat device. Inside this cover it looks kind of like a buffer pad, a piece of buffer pad, but it's a filter for air-type non-wet debris, for example. Helps keep the air going through the vacuum motor cleaner. So it's a nice setup. They use an interesting method of construction to run these hoses below the water line. And so down here you've got bulkhead fittings for both of these hoses. You've got hose clamps, and then they've siliconed around the bulkhead fittings to help waterproof them. And the recovery tank has a 10-gallon capacity, and the freshwater tank also has a 10-gallon capacity. And that's a real drawback in a scrubber. You always want the recovery tank to be larger than the freshwater tank. The actual size of the freshwater tank is 12¼ gallons. And what happens with this is I ran a bunch of tanks of water through this machine, and if you're not using any soap at all, you're just fine. The water comes up, you don't get any foam through the vacuum motor because there really isn't much foam because there's no soap. As soon as you add soap and 10 gallons to the freshwater tank, the foam comes up into this area above the tank, and you start getting foam. And most of the foam doesn't get sucked through here. It actually gets vented and starts sucking in through the top of this filter assembly. Now the interesting thing is, because the freshwater tank's bigger at 12¼ gallons and the recovery is 10 gallons, I mean, here's your 10-gallon mark on your fill gauge. But most of the time you're not watching the fill gauge when you're filling the machine. You're filling it up here, and you would just fill this to where the water comes to the top. Well, if you run 12¼ gallons of water through it, your water gets up to about here, way above the tank, and as soon as you turn off your vacuum motor, you get a mess. Not to mention, you're sucking water like crazy through the vacuum. Although this has a float shutoff, it doesn't seal completely, and if you suck that quantity of water through, you'll start seeing a lot of dripping right down in here, because this is where the vacuum motor drains when water starts going through it. And so, unfortunately with this machine, with this specific model, the MicroMini, you're likely to replace the vacuum motor frequently because they didn't make the recovery tank big enough. Now, one of the pluses of having the big clear plexiglass is you can see when the water gets too high and the foam gets too high. So as long as your operator is intelligent enough to know when to stop, you'll be okay. But if you don't stop, I could never get the vacuum to completely shut off with the float. It continually kept pulling foam and water through, and so at least foam through, and so it's definitely easy to take out a vacuum motor in this machine if you're not observant as to what's going on. One thing that caught me off guard when I first used this machine is there's quite a bit of flex. See how those tanks move? I think the flex is in the latches. The latches are really handy though, because they allow the machine to completely open up for service. If you undo these latches and tip this back, here you've got excellent serviceability. You got your big batteries here. This specific machine has 130 amp hour batteries, 2 of them. They're wet lead acid. They give us 2.5 hours of runtime, which is what's advertised. You got your main drive motor for the pad and the brush, and you got big water line coming to the brush. This has the best gallons per minute flow rate of any scrubber I've used. It's 1/2 gallon a minute, and so if you've got some really soiled areas, you can clean a lot of debris and float a lot of dirt in that much water. So it's very effective at cleaning. But look at that service cavity. Up here you've got your vacuum motor as well, that you can replace pretty easily. It's well insulated to help with noise. It's a noisy machine. It doesn't help all that much, but it's easy to service. And so this is one beautiful thing about the MicroMini, how easy it is to service. Apart from filling the freshwater tank back here by the controls, you also have 2 options up here. You've got this fill screen you can just put a hose into or pour from a bucket or whatever, or a pitcher. And then you've also got this attached to a hose with a rubber fitting that will slide over a standard style faucet and fill it that way. So A lot of options for filling this machine, and then you can just add soap here or in the rear port as well. Now that we're full of water, just drop your squeegee, put down your scrub deck, water, solution, and then push these two buttons right here, and you're ready to go. I have noticed if you make corners like I just did, you leave quite a bit of water on the corners. See that? It does leave quite a bit behind. In order to not leave water on a turn, you've got to really take a wide turn. The water output on this machine is unprecedented. You can see how much water it's putting out, and that'll give you an amazing cleaning job. The squeegee really does a good job of leaving the floor dry. Does a great job. All right, one thing about this machine, it's not just heavy duty, it's also really heavy at about 400 pounds, and so it does have that automatic transmission. It does have the transmission, it's self-propelled to pull it along. Few things I liked, so I loved how dry the floor is after you go over it. And the squeegee is also really live. It moves a lot as you go on corners. And so the recovery is really good. One of the challenges with this machine is if you make a tight turn, it does leave a puddle of water on the inside corner. The other thing is I've spent a couple hours behind this machine. The beautiful stainless steel handles are nice. The buttons that power everything, they become a little taxing after a while, start to hurt your fingers as you keep it on. So overall, it's a great machine. It cleans really well, and it's built by a company that I really admire. Here are the specs on the Factory Cat MicroMini 17D. Cleaning path 17 inches. Fresh water capacity actually is 12.25 gallons. Recovery tank capacity 10 gallons. Gallons per minute flow rate is an amazing ½ gallon per minute. Brush speed RPMs are 200. Cleaning per hour on this machine you can do 15,748. The vacuum motor is a 24 volt 3-stage unit. It does have an onboard battery charger. Dry weight of the machine 400 pounds. This specific machine was equipped with 2 wet lead acid 130 amp hour batteries. The advertised runtime was 2.5 hours, which is actually what we got. As for cost of ownership, I couldn't find the MSRP on this machine, but we paid $8,069. Squeegee replacement set for this machine is $83.50. Brush replacement, $130.80. Battery replacement, $600. Battery charger replacement, $354. Parts are readily available online for this machine. I didn't find much in the way of a library on service or repair for this machine, but there are a lot of dealers that could help with service on this machine. That marks the end of our review of the Factory Cat MicroMini 17D floor scrubber. My favorite thing about this machine is that it is built like a tank. This thing should last for a great many years. My least favorite thing is that even though the freshwater tank and the dirty water tank are advertised at the same size, they're not. The freshwater tank is actually 2¼ gallons bigger, which can lead to premature failure of the vacuum motor. If you'd like to have other scrubbers reviewed, please leave it down below in the comments, and check us out on scrubberreviews.com for more reviews like this one. Out.